Good afternoon. First, I'd like to thank Father DeHunt for allowing me to do this eulogy via the internet, so thank you very much. Secondly, on behalf of my family and I, we thank you for coming to remember and celebrate the life of our dear sister Joyce, our sweet Auntie Joyce, and our grandma. On January 3rd, 2012, we believe an angel went back to heaven. Who would have believed or conceived that in 1967, over 44 years ago, this lady, who was flying back home from Belgium after visiting with her son Jack, would be on the same plane and seated next to a man, his wife, and two little girls traveling from Syria to their new home in America. That was my dad and mom, Shamsi and Yaoub, my sister Vicky, and I. From her seat, Aunt Joyce noticed this man in distress, with a sick wife and two fidgety little girls, and because it was Aunt Joyce's nature to be kind and caring, she couldn't help but to ask this man if he needed a hand. Little did Aunt Joyce know that would be the beginning of one of her biggest life's adventures, and she would eventually be adopting an entire clan. Aunt Joyce quickly befriended my parents, and my parents invited Aunt Joyce to dinner to thank her for all her help. And at that time my dad told her that we met in the sky near God, and you shall be my sister and I am your brother. She then visited us every weekend and soon became a part of all we did. She adopted the entire Arabic community in Detroit, and everyone knew Sadiqatni Lamarkani, our American friend. She soon attended all our parties and gatherings, and before you knew it, she was not just part of us, she was one of us. They say blood is thicker than water, and that may be true, but I can't imagine being any closer to anyone than our sweet and beloved Aunt Joyce. In the hierarchy of family at the pinnacle, there was my dad, my mom, and Aunt Joyce. As children, she commanded our respect, and we gave it to her willingly. We never disobeyed or crossed her, and I only wish I could get that reaction from my own children. As first generation to a new country, Aunt Joyce showed us a life that would have taken us several generations to experience and learn. She took us out to eat, but only if we ordered water, not soda. This was how she could afford to take all us kids out. She took us to the theater and to museums. We always had so much fun with Aunt Joyce. She also loved to sing songs with us. She read books to us, shared poetry, told us children's stories, and not only took us to the park, but all the contraptions needed to make us breakfast at the park. She also helped us with our homework. She especially loved working on book reports with us. As I recall many memories, I am reminded of just what an amazing lady she was. God may have given Aunt Joyce only one biological child, but he blessed her with many, many children, grandchildren, and godchildren. Just to give you a small glimpse, there were 5 in our family, 4 of my Aunt Helen's kids, 5 of my Aunt Hen's kids, 9 of my Aunt Medella's kids, our offspring, our friends, and as the family continued to come to America, she became more known and became Aunt Joyce to more people than you can imagine. But it didn't stop there. As she became more of a world traveler, she met all kinds of people across the country and befriended everyone. Around Christmas time, I believe she received at least 75 greeting cards and corresponded to all of them. Aunt Joyce had a big heart, a kind, caring, and giving spirit. She had too much love for just one child. So thank you, Jack, for sharing your mom. When I think of Aunt Joyce, I am reassured that there is a loving God who sends us angels. Like I said, who but God could have conceived that we needed an Aunt Joyce? And she needed us. We made a perfect match. We loved her and she loved us. She brought us so much joy and we brought her joy right back. Can't imagine how dull and different life would have been without our Aunt Joyce. As you know, she was a world traveler and she wanted to impart that on us. So we took our first trip together in 1975 back to Syria. Now everyone in Syria knew her, and she, of course, adopted more kids and family. She did her best to learn to speak the language and the names of everyone she met. She was adorable and amazing. What person in their 50s decides to take a family of 7 with 5 kids and 11 pieces of luggage, halfway across the world but Aunt Joyce. She didn't stop there. When we landed in Denmark, she decided to take us to the world's largest amusement park, Tivoli Garden, where we lost my little brother Louis, but my parents wholeheartedly trusted Aunt Joyce. As Aunt Joyce's desire to travel grew, she traveled to more places, and she wanted us to have a glimpse of her world, and convinced Mary and I to go to Europe with her. So in 1989, I saved my money, took a semester off from college, and spent 22 days traveling to 9 countries together. Then in 1998, she took the same trip with Mary. She was such an adventurer. We will never forget those days. So many wonderful memories. Aunt Joyce was such an amazing lady, full of life, love, and adventure. She had so many unique and known traits that I started thinking that if you knew Aunt Joyce, you'd know. So I started writing these things down, and this is what I got. So if you knew Aunt Joyce, you knew that she was thoughtful, kind, sweet, and loving. She was cultured, she was adventurous, she was accepting. She was caring, and she took care of her mother till she died and never placed her in a nursing home, even though she spent almost 50 years in a wheelchair, and she cared for her sick dad who died from cancer. If you knew Aunt Joyce, you knew that she didn't whine, she didn't gossip, she couldn't say a bad thing about anyone. She rarely cried, and she couldn't smell. If you knew Aunt Joyce, you knew that she had her own way of pronouncing words, and assume became assume, and guacamole was Guatemala. She had allergies and her nose ran constantly, so she would always carry a tissue and always stored one up her sleeve. She had her signature dishes, Spanish rice, cabbage and kielbasa, and fried pork chops. She was vain and never wanted anyone to see her without her teeth or without being put together. If you knew Aunt Joyce, you knew that she adored and loved her son Jack so much. Even when he turned 70, she would say, "It's my baby's birthday." She loved the birds, especially those who came to visit her outside her kitchen window. She respected nature and would not hurt a fly or a spider, and she would catch them and send them back outside. She loved us kids and spending time with us. She loved to play games with us, especially bouncing on her knees and then let us fall through. If you knew Aunt Joyce, you knew that she had an interest in astrology. She always had a good story and told it many times. She always watched her weight and counted calories. If you knew Aunt Joyce, you knew that she loved coffee and drank much of it. Once we counted 19 cups in one day. She loved chocolate, cheese, and nuts. She loved reading, she loved history, and she loved traveling. If you knew our dearest Aunt Joyce, you would know that she was a very special lady and one of a kind. She had a great influence on us and everyone she met. We will cherish all the memories, all the stories and lessons learned. It is said that we must all die, but there is a way to live on, and that is to make history. Aunt Joyce left her legacy in each one of us, as we are today who we are because of her and how she touched our lives, and she will live on forever inside each one of us. On December 17, 2011, my beloved father passed away, 17 days before Aunt Joyce. Life can be so surreal. They are together now, and we sadly have lost 2 of the most amazing people in our lives. Now our only comfort and solace comes from all the wonderful memories of the times we shared together, and knowing that since they suffered so at the end of their lives, that they are both in a better place now, where they can rest in peace. They are in God's hands now. May they rest in peace, and may you all be blessed with the memories you shared together. Allah yirhamhun.